raggii
We were part of the problem. We were the leaders of the conflict.
liidharadii colaadda
But now, we are the leaders of peace.
aniga waxaa la yidhaahdaa Siciid Yuusuf Jaamac aa la yidhaahdaa.
My name is Saeed Yusuf Jama. I belong to the Gurgura sub-clan. In December 1992, my nephew, Abdurrahman Mahmoud Yusuf, was killed. Since then, we have been anxious, cautious, and holding onto our guns. We conducted a survey on the active conflicts in Somaliland and Puntland. We were able to enumerate up to 40 active conflicts from the districts. Most of these conflicts take on a clan face. The problem in Somalia is that if one person commits a crime, that burden is leveled on the clan. But when someone does something good, you'll rarely see it being attributed to the entire clan. It is said in the Quran that no bearer of burdens bears the burden of another. It's not normal in the world to see the punishment for a crime committed by one person being imposed on an entire clan. They are a sizable community, made up of thousands of families. They live in dire conditions in the Sanag region. They are faced with a lot of challenges, their economic status is very low, they have very little education, and on top of that, they were also discriminated and degraded.
waxa weeye dhaqaale la'aanta waxa keenaysa
The economic status is compounded by the fact that these are people living in a remote mountainous area. They have no education, none of them owns a business or a car, they have no scholar amongst them. They don't have a leader to guide them. They have gotten better with time, but previously they didn't have anyone to lead them.
nin gaarina ma leh nin aqoon
They were like the donkey's teeth. Do you know the donkey's teeth? They are all the same size, none is bigger than the other. So that is what the situation was like.
laakiin markii hore waxay ahaayeen ilka dambeena mataqaan sahaanna anigu
I am the person who instigated the conflict. But I did not kill, I only injured. I believe those two have different magnitudes.
run ahaantii waan
Honestly, we tried to do something about the conflict. One of the clans is related to me. Despite our efforts, we were not able to get to the bottom of the conflict. The conflict at first arose from injuries inflicted by the two clansmen, but once they could not agree on the restitution, it became a spiral of violence.
waxa weeyaan
Each clan is composed of dia-paying units. With the clans expanding in size, sub-clans constituted themselves into these units, and so they pay the dia together. The sub-clans in question conflicted on this matter. Dia is compensation given to the victim of an aggression. In the Somali culture, diya is one of the ways of resolving conflicts. So whoever commits the aggression compensates the victims for what they inflicted. So also in accordance with Islam, when someone is killed and the family of the deceased accepts compensation, they are to be given 100 camels. Those camels are shared amongst a larger family or clan, and each of them has their own formula. The clans couldn't pay the compensation from the damages they both inflicted. So it resulted in more gun battles, hence the many deaths and injuries. So the perpetrators fled into the countryside, hunting each other down. This is how it has been for 20 years. All we could try and do is minimize the chances of them meeting somewhere. For example, Saeed rarely used to come into Baran town, where we lived. The enemy clansmen would find him there, so we requested him to keep away from the town. If the two men met, gunfire would erupt. So he accepted the request and kept away for almost 2 decades. If he ever needed anything from town, we would get it sent to him. One night, a relative of mine who had killed someone and I arrived at a homestead in the countryside. We were welcomed, had a goat slaughtered, and offered a place to sleep with blankets and pillows and everything. That whole evening while we were having dinner, the man was very anxious and jumping at every noise. Once we were done with dinner, he stepped outside. He returned the next morning at sunrise. I asked him where he had disappeared to, and he said, "You are at peace with yourself, but I cannot have the luxury of sleeping in comfort. I don't have that peace." I never laid down my gun even for a minute. The only exception is a 2-year period where I fled to Erigavo. But in all the time that I spent in the tribal areas, I never laid down my gun. If you ask me to take off my shirt right now, you will see the marks made by the strap of the gun on my back. He is also the same, I'm sure. You will see where the strap dug into my back because of carrying it everywhere. It was a very good idea to conduct a reconciliation inside the mosque. It made our job much easier. All of us had the genuine interest in our hearts, and we were in a holy place. When everyone sat in the mosque, all the anger, bitterness, and emotions and the conflict changed. People's faces lit up, and their attention peaked. Some of them could afford a smile. The religious leaders were very competent. They had an understanding of the people's psychology, and they knew gaining trust was the biggest step. They stated their neutrality and genuine need to arbitrate and resolve the conflict. They promised to deliver fair resolutions too, and this changed the mood. These men have been fighting since 1993. They have not slept. They were always awake. They realized how badly they needed to sleep and rest. They realized how sweet peace was. We have learned now that when people have been engaged in conflict for so long, with time it becomes easier to convince them about resolving their conflict. The men left the place walking together, and they were not carrying their guns when they went home. A lot of people could not believe their eyes. For 20 years, these men hunted each other down, and whenever they met, there would be gunshots, and this put everyone else in danger. We have now achieved peace. You can see us sitting down together. I want, however, to say that whatever happened is now in the past. And those who are alive today live in peace. As you know, both of the clans live in dire conditions and they have no meaningful livelihoods. What I want to focus my energy on is finding out what can be done to improve these people's lives.
mashaariicda noocan
These
ee
type
lagu
of
caawinayo
programs aim to
dadaalada
help community and local peace efforts actually strengthen, facilitate and address a very huge need faced by the communities. There are so many conflicts of this kind all across Somalia. It could be between clans or sub-clans or groups living in an area together or sharing pasture and water. These conflicts gravely affect the daily lives of the ordinary people. For example, if livestock belonging to a certain clan member wander into another clan's territory, that person cannot go to claim his livestock. This is because this person is in constant fear of what might happen to him if he does that. Markets are affected, for example. No transportation connects two clans because the people do not cross over. The two clans do not trade with each other. It is highly possible that they do not even share the resources that might be present in their area, such as pasture and water. These micro conflicts, which present so much problems for the ordinary people, also feed the bigger conflicts that take place at national level. As you know, conflict is something very bitter. It is very bitter. Everyone can understand that. When you are unable to cultivate your farm, unable to sleep in your own house, unable to trust anyone and live your life in the wilderness, there is nothing worse than that.